All right, let's jump straight into today's explainer. We're going to play the role of electrical detectives to crack a frustrating little mystery that pretty much everyone has dealt with, but very few actually understand. We are looking at exactly why cheap solar lights seem to die so incredibly fast. It's a really fascinating look into the hidden mechanics of everyday tech, and honestly, it's going to completely change how you look at a quote-unquote dead battery. Let's get into it. We've all been there, right? You spend your Saturday picking out a nice set of solar garden lights. You space them out perfectly along your walkway, and for a few weeks, they look absolutely magnificent. Your yard has that perfect evening glow. But then, inevitably, one of them just quits. It's been sitting in the blazing sun all day, soaking up rays for 10 solid hours, but dusk hits and nothing, total darkness. It just stands there like a tiny, unlit monument to frustration. Now, the immediate assumption we all make is pretty intuitive. We figure the battery is just dead or empty, like it didn't get enough sun. But as we dig into the research, it turns out that assumption is completely wrong. Okay, let's dive into this because this is where conventional wisdom completely falls apart. If you look up how to fix a broken solar light online, most of the advice is incredibly surface level. They'll tell you to check for water damage, wipe off the panel, or they push the classic myth: just change the dead battery. But the reality is way more interesting. The truth is, the battery isn't empty, it's electrically damaged. We're dealing with a complex systems failure here, not just a drained tank that needs a quick refill. The energy is actually still inside the battery, it's just physically incapable of delivering it. It's a massive paradox, honestly. If you take that seemingly broken solar light out of your garden in the morning, pop out the battery, and test it with a multimeter, you'll usually see a perfectly normal, fully charged resting voltage. It looks incredibly healthy. It reads as full. But at night, the very millisecond the LED tries to turn on, the system just instantly collapses. The light turns off, even though the battery was supposedly full. This absolutely proves that measuring resting voltage alone is incredibly misleading. It tells us literally nothing about the battery's ability to actually do work. So, to solve this mystery, we have to unmask the hidden killer inside the cell. And that killer is internal resistance. Inside every single battery ever made, there's a natural electrical resistance. When a cell is brand new, that resistance is super low. But as these cheap cells age, and man, they age fast out in the elements, that internal resistance permanently goes up. Think of it like a water pipe slowly getting clogged up with mineral deposits over the years. The water, or the electrical energy in this case, is still sitting right there in the tank, but the pipe is so restricted that it becomes almost impossible to push that flow out to where it's needed. It's basically an invisible wall building up inside the battery. And that rising internal resistance creates our main symptom, voltage sag. This is the sharp, immediate drop in voltage that happens the absolute moment a load, like our tiny little LED bulb is applied. Because that internal resistance is so high in a degraded battery, the current really struggles to push through that clogged pipe. And the result? The voltage physically sags under the pressure. It just crashes. And if it sags too low, the LED's driver circuit detects that low voltage and just shuts the whole thing down to protect itself. To really wrap our heads around this, let's bring it back to good old Ohm's law. Just as a quick refresher, voltage equals current multiplied by resistance. Because of that basic equation, we know for a fact that as resistance goes up, voltage has to drop to compensate the moment a load is applied. Now, in massive, high-quality batteries, a little internal resistance is barely noticeable. But in these tiny garden light batteries, the undeniable mouth of Ohm's law guarantees that this growing resistance will completely strangle the power output. It's a mathematical certainty. And this brilliantly illustrates the real smoking gun of our investigation, the voltage sag equation. The actual voltage your LED gets when it tries to shine, the loaded voltage, equals the open circuit resting voltage, minus the current multiplied by that internal resistance. So, if that internal resistance number gets too big, the chunk you are subtracting gets absolutely huge. Your load voltage drops to near zero the exact second you turn it on. And this happens totally regardless of how healthy and full the resting voltage looks that morning on your workbench. So, why does this happen so incredibly fast to solar garden lights specifically? Well, looking closer at the system, it really boils down to 4 fatal design flaws that basically doom the device from day one. First off, manufacturers use ridiculously small battery capacities to save a few pennies, leaving zero margin for error. Compounding that, they use cheap cell chemistries that are notorious for rapid internal resistance growth. But wait, it gets worse. The solar panels themselves are deliberately undersized. That guarantees chronic undercharging, especially if it's cloudy. And finally, there's often a blatant mismatch with the LED driver, causing total instability the second the voltage even slightly begins to sag. All of these flaws stack up into a devastating daily routine. It's a vicious cycle of failure. Step 1 happens during the day. The tiny panel fails to fully charge the battery. Moving into step 2 at night, because it's already undercharged, the battery gets deeply discharged, down to absolute zero every single evening. In step 3, we see the fallout. This chronic starvation and constant deep cycling causes that cheap cell chemistry to rapidly degrade. And finally, step 4, the internal resistance violently spikes and the voltage sags. Wash, rinse, repeat. This cycle happens day after day, literally destroying the battery from the inside out in just a matter of months. To really understand this, we need a total shift in our mental model. As the analysis points out so clearly, it is the system design pushing a small energy storage cell beyond its safe operating limits. Actually, let's emphasize that. This isn't just a case of getting a bad battery. The entire architecture of the device forces a tiny cell to operate in a completely abusive, unsustainable environment. It is a fundamental engineering failure baked right into the product before it even leaves the factory. Knowing all this perfectly explains why blindly swapping out the dead battery is nothing more than a Band-Aid. Sure, you pop a brand new battery in, the light will work again for a little while, but the underlying fundamentally flawed system is still there. That tiny panel is still going to undercharge it, the load is still going to deep discharge it every night, and within a few short months, your brand new battery is going to suffer the exact same voltage sag at death. A true fix isn't about swapping a part. It requires a larger storage capacity, a much better charging balance from a bigger panel, and proper electrical load matching. Basically, the whole shebang. You know what's really wild? These tiny $2 microsystems sitting out in your front yard behave exactly like massive, multi-$1,000 off-grid solar banks. The fundamental physics absolutely do not change with scale. When operating margins collapse, these tiny batteries fail for the exact same electrical reasons, internal resistance and voltage sag, that routinely take down giant industrial solar arrays. The diagnostic logic you'd use with a heavy-duty clamp meter applies perfectly here, no matter how tiny the battery is. So, the crucial point is this. Because the physics scales so perfectly, we have to apply the same rigorous safety rules when diagnosing these systems regardless of their size. First and foremost, never, ever assume a battery is safe or functional based on resting voltage alone. Always test its behavior under an actual load to see if it sags. Also, avoid repeatedly deep discharging small lithium or nickel-based cells. Without proper protection circuitry, you're looking at permanent capacity loss. And finally, beware of thermal stress from the summer sun and moisture from the rain, because those elements create dangerous leakage paths and push that internal resistance even higher. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, shifting our perspective from, oh, it's just a dead battery, to understanding complex system failures driven by the invisible wall of internal resistance. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you have a battery that acts dead, whether it's in a cheap garden light, your power drill, or even just your TV remote, will you just trust the resting voltage? Or will you remember the hidden killer of voltage sag and test the load? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.